me ask you guys the question about Ekblad and just suspensions in general, because I want to play this sound from an unreliable messenger. It's old sound, but it didn't get any traction, none. And Chael Sonnen, because he's a professional troll, but he's also been someone who has broken news. Chael Sonnen said this of LeBron James, flatly.
If the world understood what LeBron did, like other basketball players will hear what LeBron does and go, well, yeah, but that doesn't matter, right? It's like a baseball player and you're hitting a stick out of the way. It doesn't matter. It's like, no. If you knew what these performance enhancers did, then you would know why it does matter.
What do you think he's doing?
There's only one, we have the same drug guy, if you will. I know exactly what he's doing. But there's only one golfer.
Please tell.
There's only one golfer. I'm not going to. But there's only one golfer that follows the big three. And the big three is EPO, growth hormone, testosterone. That's the Lance Armstrong diet. There's one golfer, but it's Tiger Woods. Like, yes, it does matter. People will say it all the time, it doesn't matter. John Daly won it. It's like, it matters. Trust me that it matters. EPO matters. It's the reason LeBron takes it. It matters. And if other basketballers understood what it did, EPO increases your red blood cells, which gives you endurance so you can play all game long. You can shoot in the fourth quarter just like you shot in the fourth.
More red blood cells, more oxygen in your red blood cells. Okay, got you.
It's the king of performance enhancers.
So you would prefer that, especially in a fight sport, to anything else?
EPO is king.
Because it's going to give you the stamina.
Yes.
That's why cyclists do it.
That's why cyclists.
Tour de France is
so that fifth round energy is
the
more
human
important.
body is not made to do the Tour de France. I mean, the people that set that up are inhumane. So of course you have to go. Of course it's supernatural people that they're forcing them to take.
What sound is that? What is he doing?
Chael Sonnen, for those of you who do not know, produced for 5 rounds one of the most stunning things I've seen while on performance enhancers. Is he totally dominated the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world in Anderson Silva at the time, and then lost at the end because he slipped up, but had him dominated. My question to you is, when Chael Sonnen says something like that, if right now the news came down that the oldest player in the NBA, who's still doing things that are completely unprecedented for his age, if the news came down that he was using HGH, would anyone be surprised by that?
The small domino is Aaron Ekblad testing positive and getting a 20-game suspension. That leads to a Chael Sonnen clip that's old. And the big domino is, let's just use this to invoke LeBron's name. Well, I don't like this one bit.
I was going to do it yesterday with Mo Vaughn's HGH admission, but instead I decided to do it today.
Mo Vaughn! Just let's peel back the curtain. We know what we're doing here.
I want to ask the question because I'm amazed at what's happened in sports when it comes to this stuff. We were all naive with McGuire and Sosa. McGuire and Sosa had it in their lockers, and it was a totally common thing, and we were naive at the time. And I'm asking legitimately, who would surprise you now, and what would be your reaction to specifically the one guy doing things that have never been done before? Because I would be not only unsurprised, I also wouldn't blame him. And furthermore, if I were him, I would dare the league to punish me. I would dare the league to find out and try to do that to me so that they eradicate my records.
It feels like, if we want to get conspiratorial, the league has been turning a blind eye to people at that level taking things for a very long time. Like, we're just surprised that LeBron is at 40 years old, now creeping back into the MVP race at 40 because he's had an incredible season all of a sudden?
Yeah, but what does that mean, though? I mean, retroactively, are we now suspicious about Tom Brady's longevity and success?
Kind of.
I don't throw any shade on LeBron James based on something an ex-UFC fighter says. I think he's built up too much credibility to assume that just because he's still great at 40,
okay, but I'm asking a career newspaper man to just for a moment take a look at results that have no precedent and have some questions about it, as opposed to simply accepting at face value something in sports that can no longer be accepted at face value.
So he's the only one doing it, though?
I'm not saying that.
But that means if a lot of people are also doing it, he's still the best.
That in turn levels the playing field. If the greatest ever at their sport, Tom Brady, arguably LeBron James, are doing these things and getting away with it, you got to assume everybody is. the same thing like the 90s in baseball, and that doesn't mitigate his greatness. It may explain some things that are hard to explain, which is why are we seeing this guy do it at 40? It was a question that we asked about Tom Brady, and we just assumed everybody else would, and it turns out, no one else could. Tom Brady was the greatest ever.
Peyton Manning was also, there was a lot of cloudiness, a lot of things around the Al Jazeera report of Peyton Manning getting stuff for his neck. Maybe he was taking things before that.
His wife.
Sorry, sorry.
You got to get that right.
Sorry, yeah, no. Allegedly.
Typo.
To answer your question, would I be surprised if all of a sudden it came out that LeBron James has used HGH? No. Just as I was not surprised late afternoon yesterday when my wife said, hey, did you hear about Aaron Ekblad? It isn't a shock when any professional athlete, to me, tries to get better or tries to get healthier sooner by using medicinal means. It's against the rules. Maybe it shouldn't be against the rules. I don't know, but it doesn't surprise me. The only thing that I don't like is to assume that Chael Sonnen is right and to assume that LeBron James is not quite the angel that we've known for 2 decades.
I want to stop you for a second, though, because I do think it's possible for something to be completely unsurprising and still shocking. If that news came down right now, you're not going to tell me that you'd be like, like you'd have a reaction to it, and it wouldn't be like you would feel lied to in some way. I don't know how emotional you would be or how much we've changed this over the last 20 years, but you would not be indifferent about that news. We would be engulfed by that news if that were so.
I'll entertain your gambit. I think for me the shock would be, man, they actually did it. They caught him and they decided to put out a press release and announce this to the face of the game. Like I would be shocked at that. I'd be more shocked at that than learning that a top athlete is doing whatever he can to stay at the top.
You know what's funny about you saying that is that I would indeed be shocked if the league actually did that, but I would also be shocked if the league consciously and actively covered it up. If you showed me some sort of chain that revealed to me how it is that got covered up by a league protecting its interests and declining to protect its integrity, if you showed me all of that and showed me knowledge of it, I would find that to be shocking as well. Like, I understand that we're sitting here saying these things in the hypothetical, but now put it on Adam Silver's desk and have him make the decision that overtly protects something that is against the rules. That seems kind of crazy, even if we're now used to corruption in all facets of the space where we're watching
there's a
things.
Paper trail on this
Dan.
getting to Adam Silver's desk, and the person that takes it in is still alive.
It is. Let me just say, it is extra reckless to be. I know Chael says he shares the doctor, but he's half the time he's in character. Like he's not. It's not the best source.
Okay, but I remember the first time that I noticed Feel Good being swept up by conspiracy theories and cynicism. It's when Cal Ripken Jr. hit a home run in the All-Star game, and it was such a perfect moment that immediately, was it Hideo Nomo? Somebody assumed that the pitch had, many people assumed that the pitch had...
Chanho Park. Grooved it.
Ooh. Ooh, Dan. Ooh.
That is amazing.
Let me tell you something.
It got grooved, Dan. More importantly, the pitch got grooved.
I think that
You
should
did
be
this to
more
yourself.
than a $5 fine.
You did this to
I think
yourself.
that should be a
I
bigger
tried to
fine
stop
than
you.
that.
Tried to stop you with Chael.
Not great, man.
I hope Chris is right, by the way.
Yeah.
It's
Fact check that one, man.
No, it's even worse than that. It is even worse than that. You said Chanho Park, and I had in my head that Chanho Park, for some reason, was a first baseman. That was Hesop Choi. So it's even
making it better,
it's
pal.
even worse. It's even worse.
They were both Dodgers. in your
Thank you.
defense.
Yes, not a good defense, and I will
Actually, all three of them were.
He's up a little chubby, too.
Again, though, I will say to you guys that was the first time that I'm like, can we not have good things that we believe in sports, that we're going to immediately arrive 25 years ago or more than that in a place where we're going to take Cal Ripken Jr.'s, as if it's not hard to hit a home run in an all-star game, and we're going to immediately apply cynicism to it.
So you didn't like how that made you feel, and then 20 years later, we're lifting up Chael Sonnen. Like, it's cool watching this phase of LeBron's career, and those questions and whispers, social media conjecture and innuendo, that's been around LeBron forever. For literally, like, at least 15 years of his career, people have been wondering, what's that little break that he's taking in the middle of the season? This is stuff that people
going
say
where?
all the time.
Again, though, I simply say to you, as we're watching all of these things that have no human precedent on where the limits of the human body have been. This is not a player. Go look at Michael Jordan's number and his percentages, his numbers when he was 37 years old.
No doubt. And I get it. And I feel like we have this conversation every time an aging quarterback hits the market. We're watching two guys do it. And they just so happen to be the best ever. Like, that's why they're doing it, maybe. I understand, like, we're trying to rationalize what we're seeing. With Brady, it flatly doesn't make sense because look at his body. Like, with LeBron, we're doing like, wow, he's chiseled out of granite. I get it. With Brady, pliability and avocado tequila?
Strawberries and strawberries. The thing that I'm doing, though, with you guys, I understand, okay, that the playground is this utopian space for us where we do dreamy childhood things. But everywhere else in America, facts are being questioned everywhere. Things that have conspiracy theories are growing power everywhere. But not here. But not here.
No, yes, here.
No, not here. Because this isn't a conversation that's actually happening anywhere. I want to preface all of this, even though I'm already deep in the weeds on it. I want to preface all of it by saying that I lost my Baseball Hall of Fame vote because I am not judgmental about these people using science and advantages to try and beat all the other people who are using science and the advantages, that all of us would love to have a fountain of youth. And I get everything. I'm not judging it. I'm wondering that the reaction seems to be around this to just simply accept, yes, something I've never seen before. I believe that to be pure, and we're not doing that with anything else, any other subject matter in America.
But is it fair to, like, maybe not reserve that for the GOATs? Messi's playing great in older age, too, and he actually had to be on human growth hormone when he was younger because of how he was born. Like, I think we're conflating all-time greatness. When I list those three names, they might be on the Mount Rushmore of all-time greats in athleticism for a conversation that might be reserved for journeymen trying to hang on, because those are the guys that get pinched most of the time for this kind of stuff.
But isn't the thing to do it as the number one guy, knowing that you're the face of the league, knowing that Adam Silver would have to crater the entire league to make sure that you don't get put on one of these lists? Dan, LeBron James is more protected than the President of the United States. I want you to know that, okay?
I don't think that's
that can't
right.
be true.
I think so.
I don't think that's accurate.
I don't think so.
He's more protected. He's more protected from PR, from all these different angles than the President of the United
Although
States.
the last president was accused of PEDs.
He had to.
The idea,
come on, man.
The idea that anybody would be using human growth hormone to feel better is something that I would understand and say, yes, if your body is in pain, go ahead and do whatever it is that you have to do. The only arguments I've ever heard against human growth hormone are if you have some sort of undetected tumor in your body, it will speed up its growth if you do human growth hormone. In fact, I will tell you, because South Florida has been something of a pioneer in this regard, where A-Rod and Manny Ramirez and a whole bunch of lawlessness took place in a way that was sloppy. I will tell you that about 10 years ago, a urologist suggested, I remember I went with my brother, and I was ready to do something that actually was inserted in your body that released human growth hormone monthly when it was supposed to. And the last thing the doctor told me as I was leaving is what I said, which is if you have an undetected tumor, because I'm like, what are the side effects? Like, how is this something that you're telling me I could just come in here and feel much better? I'm going to hurt less. I'm going to have more energy. I'm going to be happier about life. And it's got no side effects. That side effect is not generally a concern for young people. That's not an absolute, but that's not something that if you're in your athletic prime necessarily undetected tumors. But I was in my 40s when it is that I was looking into doing this, and I did a lot of research on it, and I totally understand why any athlete would protect the $50 million a year late in their career that wouldn't be available to them because these careers used to always end at 37 years old. Like there's no such thing as what Taurasi did, what Ovechkin is doing, what Tom Brady did. And yes, you're talking about all-time greats keeping their level from falling more precipitously, which is generally how it drops at 37. I'm simply more interested in why it is that we choose this particular naivete when you're presented with something that by 3 years has no precedent. Because even Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, what he was doing late in his 30s was all just skyhooks, and you can see all of the ways that he's aged numerically. You can't see it in LeBron's numbers. It's not anywhere to be found except on his defense.
You mention Ovechkin, and it does get the brain to wander a little bit because he did drop off for a little bit, but also this is the first offseason I can ever remember where he was like photographed working out and running and playing pickleball to kind of stay in shape. And he doesn't have this great body, and he's aged like he's partied.